Welcome to Rip City Reverberations, Episode 1. We are going to talk about basketball and music and guitar and bass and musicianship. And let's just get right into it. Ozzy died yesterday. God, that sucks. Can't believe he played a show 2 weeks ago.
It's a bit, yeah, it's a little crazy for that. Yeah, it's shocking to see how much I listen, obviously, to a ton of music and all the channels on satellite radio, and everybody's playing everything from him, no matter what band it is. And it's amazing how many songs he's done. It doesn't seem like he's done. I mean, he's done it for a ton of years, but what, 45 years at this point? 50 years? 50 years?
Longer than we've been alive. First Black Sabbath record came out in 1970. So
yeah, that's older than us. So
55 years. Yeah, I mean, you think of how much he shaped rock and roll and metal and the guitar players he's been associated with. I mean, it's ridiculous. Tony Iommi, Randy Rhoads, Brad Gillis, Jakey Lee, Zakk Wylde. Who else did he work with?
Yeah.
Nuno Betancourt turned down a job with him.
Who's the female?
Orianthi.
Orianthi, yeah. Orianthi.
Yeah. He took Van Halen out on their first tour ever with Black Sabbath. Tony Iommi started a lifelong friendship with Ed.
I mean, his influence. Yeah, go ahead.
It's just crazy how much he's touched, how much he's impacted, how much he's been involved with, and think about all that just in the music side. Then he had that this is kind of a curse, but the reality show. But that was a huge pop culture thing and made his whole family famous.
I think you got to see a side, given that was, I don't know how scripted it was. I never really saw it, but saw some of the things. But everybody said he had a great humor about him.
He did, yeah, definitely. But he also was on a lot of like prescriptions and stuff that kind of made him act a little funkier than normal. Although what's normal for Ozzy, I don't know. Anyways, pouring one out for our homie Ozzy.
Well done, sir. He's R.I.P. to the man.
Yeah, no, definitely got to put in some Blizzard of Oz and crank that crap up. Let's move on to happier stuff.
More positives. Yes, more of the positives.
Lillard's back.
Game returns home.
This was kind of shocking it's settled in now. That's been a few days, but I really, when I first heard this, I couldn't believe. I was like, why are they signing him to rehab? But then you think about what a good PR move it is, what good vibes to the fans it is, and what he can do as a influence and leader to the younger players. It makes a lot more sense. And you think about, it's like, what better free agent were you going to pick up for 2026 for $14 million?
No, you got to look at it. It's like, well, we traded him away and got rid of a contract. We got a bunch of stuff in return, and then we turn around and get him back at a third of the cost.
Something like that. Yeah.
Plus all the other,
I don't remember what he's making, 50-something million. Yeah, no, I mean, he it's not like it's all good. He's got an Achilles rupture, but
True.
No, I think it's going to be a great move. It's going to, I mean, first off, when he's back and healthy, we're going to have a really great backcourt that are both about the same age and can kind of age out gracefully, and hopefully Scoot and Shaden step up enough to to actually become starters at that point, and then maybe the roles can reverse, and we get a few more years out of both of them. And
Um, the influence or the input and internal internal being team feedback live. I mean, I think they, I mean, Dame joked, Chauncey said something like he's going to be the highest paid assistant coach. You know, um,
that's a fact.
yeah, he's going to sit on the bench and just, I mean, and the guys will, they, I don't say they have to, but they most likely will just respect what it is he's got to say.
I was
Because I mean,
watching Casey Holdall's the briefcase before we started this, and he interviewed Dame earlier today, and he said he's already talked to Scoot, and Scoot's excited, and
yeah,
which
I read that
he'd be
somewhere
an
too.
idiot if he wasn't excited. I mean, you
Yeah, clearly.
how can you not learn how to be an NBA point guard with Chauncey Billups and Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard all guiding you? If you can't learn in that situation, then you're a lost cause.
Yeah, you, yeah, you got kind of all the bases covered. You've got obviously clearly offensive minded players, and you have a defensive mindset. You've got Chauncey, which comes kind of from both. Um, and yeah, one of them will communicate in a way that he should understand it. And he's willing to improve. He's willing to learn. He has, I think, that just internal drive to, hey, I want to be better. So obviously, clearly, and the experience that all of those three people have. Chauncey steps out because he is in a coaching role, but you have the um, Dame and Drew, just to how they've done it and what they've done at the level they've done at, and and then take the pressure you would think if Scoot doesn't succeed this year, then it'll ramp up. But this year he doesn't have any pressure really. Not he's not trying to compete with Dame for that. So what is up, Miss L?
She just tried to jump from the cat post to my studio monitor and almost knocked it all over. And so she's kind of in a little bit of a loving timeout right now. Anyways,
Yeah.
you were saying?
No, yeah, just Scoot. The players. Uh, I would hope they take what they have there from the experience of that. Dame's smart enough to go, hey, I'm going to fit in where I'm going to fit in, and it's not like they're having to work it around him. Um, with again, they joke it took 12 years to get people around him that can help him. If he comes back 80%, it's going to be, that's going to be a nice weapon to have coming off. Even if he starts, comes in.
I'm sure
Um,
once he's able to play,
yes,
he's going to start. How can you not start a
that guy on this team.
$30 million a year? Or I mean, I guess I'm thinking about Drew in that case, but you got to start Dame.
Well,
I mean,
you
he's
can
earned a
still. I mean,
starting spot, and I don't think he's. I don't. I think he's still going to have enough of an ego that he's going to want to start when he comes back.
yeah.
Plus, it
Well,
makes
and that's just,
until the younger players have earned it, that shouldn't
yeah.
be handed
That's
to them.
yep. Correct. Scoot needs to learn to be able to be consistent at it, do what he can do. Yeah, if he comes in and he can, hey, he doesn't need to score a ton because you've got enough other scorers, but can he put the pressure, whether it's getting downhill to the hoop and finishing, not turning the ball over, you know, um, and doing that in a consistent manner over the year? That's what he's got this year to do. This year has to be a jump. Him and Shaden have to make a jump to improve where they're at and to become better players and be consistent over a long period of time. Sharp, you saw little, blips of him being offensive minded and, hey, okay, great. Okay, he's just going to hit shots. Um, but he needs to do
Speaking
that.
speaking of Sharp, did you see today the NBA put out the top 10 vertical leap in dunks last year? Did you see that compilation video?
I have not. No, I didn't see that.
I believe that Shaden had 6 of the top 10 vertical leaps of the year. I think
What's crazy
he
is
was like 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. I can't remember. It was a lot. It was like half of the list was him.
it seems odd, and it may just because he doesn't like Edwards to me almost looks like some of the ones he takes off is like he is just launching because he's also coming with even more power.
Don't you think that
Uh,
some of that visually isn't that just the physics of Ant is a much bigger player. He probably has 10 or 20 pounds on Shaden, so it takes that much more force for him to elevate like that, and so it looks like he is.
yeah, but look, he is
You know
he
what
is
you know
just
what I'm saying though,
detonates
right?
on people. Yeah, I mean Shaden is very smooth, but and he
I know, but
launches,
he's
but it
also
doesn't look like.
he's significantly more slender than Ant.
I guess from my aspect, it's the view of Ant is up there, head at the rim too, and he just detonates on people. So it's like he's jumping to me as high, or he almost looks higher because he doesn't look taller than Shea, um, but he's getting up
I
as
don't think
high
he's
to me.
taller. He weighs more, and so it looks like when he has to gather himself to launch like that, he has to. It
It could
looks
be
like
some,
there's more effort into it because there probably is more effort into it because he's moving
yeah,
more weight. Is what I'm
yeah,
saying.
true. Um, yeah, I don't know. Either way, yeah, Shaden can clearly launch, and I don't even think he fully realizes what he can do. I'm sure he realizes what he can do, but it's like, okay, you can do that almost anytime you want. It's getting that mindset of being able to not be limited by, oh, hey, someone's there. Okay, good. Use your athletic ability, jump, float by them, hang, finish. Um, I know that's a hell of a comparison. You go back to like what Jordan did, but you see, I mean, this year for some reason I've seen a lot more of just Jordan highlights from when he played. And you're like, he's smaller than Shaden, and just it didn't matter. He's going to dunk on someone that was bigger than him. He's going to float, hang. Yes, he was an
Wait.
obviously
You're
an
saying
athletic freak.
Jordan's smaller than Shaden?
Or how Shaden's how tall?
6'5". He's shorter than Jordan.
Okay, I was thinking Shaden was 6'7". Um, so
Unless
no, I guess in a
I
Jordan.
mean, he's a kid. He could add another growth spurt, but as far as I know, he's 6'5".
Okay, I
Also,
was
you know
thinking he
what?
was
I
six
don't
seven.
know if that's in shoes or out of shoes. So he might be 6'6", 6'7" in shoes. So I don't know.
Okay, so he's
This is
roughly
one of
the
those
same
things
size
where
as
we need to
Jordan.
pull up the damn roster and look at like the stats instead of speculating about knowable stuff.
That'd be his. Yeah. Either way, you watch what Jordan did, and he just obviously, and he had clearly had more hang time, more body control. I think even obviously his ability to just
More
float. So,
creativity, more attitude, more
oh,
um,
there's not a
seeking contact, more knowing players' tendencies to be able to set them up for something and then juke them.
we're comparing a what fourth year player versus Jordan. Even Jordan in his
It's
first and second year
it's a
said,
ludicrous, ridiculous comparison, but I was running with it.
"Yeah, that's
Why
not
not?
fair."
No, it's not
Yeah,
remotely fair, and I mean, I think I could say this now. Shaden Sharp is never going to measure up to MJ, but you
yeah,
know that doesn't mean he couldn't be a good player or even a great player.
true.
But he's got to
He
start
can he
figuring
can
it out.
fly. He can fly. There's no doubt about it. He can fly. His
All
dunk
right, but
was the
like we're talking about last week about how often does the cream of the crop athleticism actually translate into cream of the crop players in the NBA? Jokic is
it's,
one of the top three players in the NBA, and he's ridiculously not. Well, I mean, he has a weird kind of athleticism because he is in great shape and he's smart. But he can't jump worth a crap. I mean, he probably can't jump over
the
a brick.
the the purest, probably the best athletes that have gone on to excel.
Vince
I'm
Carter
a
is one of them.
v,
But
VC.
even then, did Vince Carter live up to his hype? I mean, He was kind,
He
he was kind of the next Jordan after Harold Miner, Baby Jordan, which I think that kind of killed the whole next Jordan type thing. They tried to do it
yeah,
for some other players, but then they're just like, there's not going to be a next Jordan. This is dumb.
yeah. I saw somebody was saying, who was it? They were mad because Vince Carter, they felt, had all the tools but didn't have that. I always look at it, that assassin mentality that Jordan had. He could do everything. I mean, Carter, he had as much hang, more hang, physical, a little bit bigger body. He could do anything. He could shoot. He could handle. He could do all of it. I think he's one of the very few players. Obviously, his duration in the league was fantastic. I think Ray Allen. I saw some clips of him. It's like that guy, because I mean, it reminded me. You go back to his earlier years. He took it down the lane and tried to dunk on everybody.
Oh yeah,
He was not afraid to dunk. And then he became a shooter, and it's like, well, cool.
I was going to
Mentality
say
probably changed.
about Vince Carter. Don't you think that it's the difference? The main difference is personality and things like chip on the shoulder and the kind of head games that you got going on in your own head. That all the thing. Look at how often Jordan looked for a beef to start in his own head to get pissed off at people to go and crush them. It was a tumor in the back of his head. I mean, he used it all the time, and I think it kind of made him an asshole. I mean, at least that's you look at the interviews with his teammates, and it's like on one hand you understand where he's coming from and the wanting excellence, and this is what we have to demand if we're going to actually be competing for championships. But then on the other hand, you can't ignore the fact that to enforce that kind of attitude on a regular basis, you become an asshole. You end up punching your teammates. You end up, I mean, didn't he punch Steve Kerr once?
So he hit Steve Kerr in a practice. He I'm sure berated verbally his
Oh
teammates all the
yeah,
time in that aspect.
definitely.
I mean, yeah, he definitely, and that's a different mentality of being able to. I mean, you hear the stories of just flip it on and off, and it's like he could have a crap game, and then somebody. I mean, you hear who's the guy who had a great game. They played him the first time, and he said, "It's not your night, Mike." And then he just went off in the fourth quarter and told that it was somebody against the Bucks, I think, when the guy played. Either way, but he that guy was out sitting on the bench, and then Jordan goes over and talks smack to him after he's put the Bulls up and won. He's like, "Don't ever talk smack to me again," and it's like, okay, people
Yeah,
learn
he
it.
says that, but secretly he loves it because it got him going in a game that he wasn't performing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jordan internally, that's that. Like, all right, this is it. I think there was that where it's like he needed a challenge. It's like, I'm just going to
Right. He was
coast.
so
Okay,
good
great.
at it that it kind of got boring to him. It's like a,
Yeah,
a smart person not being in a school that engages them. They get bored and they, act out. And
yeah, yeah. That's
wouldn't you
definitely
say that
a.
that comparison that we just made about Vince Carter and Jordan, couldn't you make the exact same comparison about Vince Carter and Kobe?
Yeah, yeah. Well, are you saying Kobe and is in
That
the
there
is?
was not really much difference in athleticism or physical ability. It was all the difference between Vince Carter and Kobe, same as Vince Carter and Mike, is in between his ears and attitude,
Yeah,
personality, chip on shoulder, other negative mental things that make you strive for excellence in a really unhealthy way and win
yeah,
at the level that Jordan won and Kobe won.
yeah. I think I say Kobe. Kobe is not as athletic. He's obviously athletic. He had to work on his abilities. I mean, he studied Jordan, so that's how he became and could utilize all the tools. His tool belt was enormous in what he can pull from. Um, but yeah, he's a carbon copy pretty much of what Jordan did. I think Carter's still probably one of the most just flat athletic, do everything players, but he didn't have that. whether it's being pushed, whether it's, that assassin mentality that it's just like, no, it doesn't matter. If he had that, it's like, okay, really, how do you stop him? He jump over anybody, literally. He did that. I guess that's probably the only time I've seen it. We'll go to that when he dunked in the U.S. the World Games. That wasn't Olympics, was it?
When he
Uh,
jumped over the 7 foot
dunked.
French dude.
Yeah, I mean that mentality. That was a different Vince Carter. Everybody said he was just, I'm off. I'm not. I don't care. It's I'm going to, and he plays at a super high level with that. You don't dunk on somebody that big. You got to have a different mentality, even if it was just for that game. But he very rarely. Carter was a nice guy. He wasn't that f you. You pissed me off. I can be tough guy, but no, you pissed off Jordan, you pissed off Kobe. It's like, I'm taking you out. It
I
does not
totally
matter. You're
agree.
not winning.
Although in that moment when he jumped over that dude, he kind of seemed like he was channeling that attitude.
That's what I
But
say. And
that wasn't his default state, and I
no,
rarely remember him getting to that.
yeah, no, that Olympics or that gold medal run of, I think it was World Games, but that they said, and I remember seeing him, like I remember his hair, he grew his hair out.
Right.
He was a different person during that, and I don't know what other challenges he had, but and that's also some of the individual difference where, I mean, Kobe kind of had to build his and used all that. He came up not in a hard way, but like he's playing it. He's playing as a younger player against older
Well,
players.
he
So
struggled his first several years. I mean, I remember watching the Lakers back then and going, "Why are they even playing Kobe? Eddie Jones is so much better."
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, take a name that you don't ever hear anymore and blast from the past. But yeah, Eddie
Eddie
Jones,
Jones.
Kobe's first 2 years was clearly the better player and was actually going to the All Star game as opposed to Kobe.
Yeah.
If,
And I don't think he had that. Well, obviously, clearly, Jordan had the struggles and you know, the challenges just to get, obviously, and you know, yeah, it's. I think some of it mentally how it is. I think Jordan has a mentality. Kobe created that mentality within himself as well of just, I'm I I'm going to beat you mentally, and I'm going to do everything I can physically after the fact. It's like, if you can't get in their head at all. Where I think Vince Carter could physically do anything he wanted, but mentally he was not as strong or as dominant mentally in that. Not that you could get in his head, but it he had leaks, if you wanted to say. He had little small, it's not a fortress where like Jordan is like, try to get in Jordan's head. What are you going to do? He'd just be like, nope, get out of my head. I'm going to turn around and,
quite the
flip.
opposite. I don't think people look. I mean, people look to get into his head once or twice and then regretted their mistakes, and because they realize
Yeah,
that trying to
yeah,
get into his head is really stepping into a bear trap. And he wants you
yeah.
to try and
That's
get
even
into
better.
his head. He wants you to try and goad him into shit because he's bored. He probably
Yeah,
has a few beers in him after playing 36 holes of golf, and is so bored by his string of 30-point plus games that he's looking for somebody to piss him off.
yeah. It's add the challenge. How can I add a challenge? Oh, okay. This guy's going to talk smack. How am I going to beat him? And then how am I going to talk smack to him after that's done? But yeah, he was a different beast. As much and as great as you see the people that came before him. I I don't know if I don't believe we'll ever see somebody with that type of package all in one, because there's too much now that he kind of he's the reason the way the league is now, in an aspect of the promotion, the shoes, the wear, all the swag, all of that, and how you promote the league in general. That he started all that. I don't think people
Definitely. I
look
mean,
back. I
Jordan
mean,
Brand was pivotal. You think about.
Yeah,
those
and that
first
in
that
itself is
first pair
nuts.
of black and red shoes, and then they got banned because what was the
That's
reason that they got banned? Was it because they marked the floor, or is it because they
no, you back then you couldn't have anything that was not a team color shoe, which is usually well that or white. And he comes out with a shoe that's multicolor, and it was just like,
that
here's
can
five
be the
thousand
rule
dollar
though,
fine.
because that's the Bulls colors.
It was you had to have a solid color,
Oh,
like a solid team color. I think everything back then basically was white. You never saw a team red or blue or green shoe. Nobody had it, you know. And then when they came
no, at
out with
most
it,
like the Adidas stripes or the Converse stripes on Bird and Magic, they
Converse,
were yellow or green,
yeah, at
and the
most.
rest
Well,
of the shoe
those
was
were like
white.
those were the Converse, the weapons when those came out. That was what that came out after the Jordan. That's good. Hey, we're gonna take Magic and Bird and Worthy and whoever and try to compete with Jordan brand all of a sudden. And yeah, the Jordan stuff is crazy. And I mean, you get $5,000 fine, which is great. That's advertising.
Right,
I
no
mean,
kidding.
Nike
I mean,
gladly
sure, he
paid
was
that.
happy that they did that because you're exactly right. It was huge advertising.
I don't think Jordan was because I don't think he had a knowledge of what really was going on. And Nike's just going, sure, we don't have to advertise a damn thing. And then I know some of the story of that, like when he wore the full black and red sweatsuit for one of the All Star games in the dunk contest, one of the earlier ones. Um, in that, he's like, I wore that just to be, to show it. And he's like, okay, they didn't like that either. It's like you're dunking in your freaking warm ups, and it's like, well, okay, add fuel to the fire. And well, how many people have you say are wearing a pair of Air Jordans now in any situation versus how many people wear the other individual that's glossed himself as something spectacular.
Have you seen any of the conversations recently online between like KG and Paul Pierce about talking about all these injuries and does it have to do with the shoes, is it low tops and high tops? And I think it was
I don't
KG
know
that
if I've
was
said
saying that he's like, yeah, we used to play in high tops and we got a lot more knee injuries, and now they're playing in low
it.
tops and they're getting a lot more Achilles injuries, and it's like they started talking themselves into, oh, I'm sure it's the shoes,
I
and
don't.
then
I
they brought up the point that they're like, okay, what about all the people before the '80s that were playing in janky Converse and didn't have these kind of injuries? But I don't know if it was tracked as well.
I don't think it was tracked as well. I'm sure it wasn't just because you didn't have all that. I don't
Plus, the
think.
all the surgeries were so much less evolved.
Yeah, I think back then you probably didn't have it because you didn't have the suit. There were far fewer super athletes, like Wilt. You didn't have any super high flyers, and if they were, they
Dr.
stood out.
J,
Yeah,
but
I'm saying, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think by
That's
and
it's far
large,
and few.
yeah, they weren't. I mean, also that was back in the era where players would smoke at halftime. You know what's crazy is that
Yeah,
Sabonis smoked at halftime in Portland.
yeah. I could see him. I'm surprised he probably didn't have a swig or two on a flask as well.
I don't know if beer or vodka was his thing, but
Well, he
I mean,
probably that was
with
probably prior to the game, and then he just came in and all right, I'll sweat it out as we go and take a drag on a cig at halftime too. So um, yeah, I don't know. I'm very much by. I mean, high tops I think had their point. I think the knee injuries, yes, it stabilizes your foot and ankle, so it's going to transfer it up higher. Low tops. Anytime that I've rolled my foot, it's never been because of the shoe. I feel it's because I mean, all the ones I remember, I landed on a foot. Most of them I've landed on somebody else's foot. It's like the shoe ain't going, great. If you don't, totally damage something, I don't think that's going to matter.
yeah, I
My
don't
ankle
think
in
the
high
shoe
school,
matters much when you're stepping on somebody else's foot. Although there are the situations where you don't step on somebody's foot and you catch the edge of the shoe and it makes your foot
yeah,
roll some weird way. And
I've done well. I remember landing really bad my left ankle, and yeah, I'm surprised I didn't break it, but nobody hit me. I just came down on an edge and bloop, you feel your ankle bone hit the ground. You're like, ow,
That's
that hurts.
that's not proper operating procedures.
No, no, I didn't break it. It was I couldn't walk on it for a week, but yeah, it was. I remember just landing, and when you have the feeling of like, I felt it hit the ground yet, but it doesn't hurt yet, and then it hits afterwards. You know, full second plus, you have enough time to recognize like this is gonna hurt a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the athletes now are just. I'm amazed you don't see people landing on other people's feet more. You know, it's you just got all the guys jumping in the lane, but I don't think the shoes have to do with it to a huge degree. I would say for my style, there's a lot of shoes that are not comfortable. They're there to make a dollar and um, for marketing. They're you know they're supposedly high tech, but um, yeah, I don't like a lot. I hate to say I'm not a fan of a lot of the Nike brand. Their shoes anymore to me are too hard. They're not supportive. They don't produce anything that's. I swing to the Boost stuff over by Adidas, and once I played those, it was like, wow, I feel these feel fantastic. I don't, you know, you don't feel fatigued. They don't get hurt, or they don't hurt. But that's me, and I'm not sponsored by either. So
Yeah, I ruptured my Achilles in Jordans, those black and red ones. They had that weird plate in them so that like as soon as you started
yeah,
stepping up, it kind of like raised your whole feet. I think
yeah,
that added some forces to how the mechanics of how your foot and ankle move that probably contributed to that injury.
it would be the almost the opposite though. It would have, it should have helped protect you because it wouldn't have let you step back as far. I have those shoes too, and I remember I enjoyed playing them because yeah, you got some forward spring, that carbon fiber foot plate that's in there. Um, but still, yeah, I'm sure it. Even going to that, I'll go to the whole like barefoot. How I work out in barefoot shoes, and I love the feeling of that. You know, you feel the ground, you can move, you understand what your foot's doing, and there's a piece of that that a lot of these basketball shoes you lose that. You don't
Right.
have the feeling. How close am I to the ground? You know, can I feel that? You catch an edge, it's like, well, okay, I'm an inch off the ground almost. Um, your
Yep.
foot, and I will say there's to that too. That degree of your foot doesn't get to playing. It's going to naturally build strength, but it doesn't get to fully feel strength because it's either taped up fully, and then your shoes are supporting you in a way that's not allowing your foot to do the work and the muscles in the feet as much. Um, that I don't know. I'm not a podiatrist, so
Nor
just
am I.
my own. Yeah,
All right. Well, enough of us diagnosing medical speculations that we don't know anything about. How
sure.
about Yang Hansen's summer league performance? Man, that guy. I am just.
He's going to be.
Go ahead.
I would agree. I would agree with what Dame said about it's like he's a real player. This guy's got some swagger to him, and he's got to put it together because he's obviously very young at 19. But yeah, you see the way he passed and the way he understands what's going on in the game, whether it's directed traffic. Having a 19-year-old direct traffic in a league he's never played in,
In a
yes, he's
language he
just not,
doesn't speak.
is spectacular.
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, that does
I
say
mean,
something.
it's. I'm trying to not get too hyped on it, but it's legit flashes of brilliance. I mean, he like any young kid like that, he's making stupid mistakes too, but it's not all
You're
good.
gonna.
But no, the flashes of brilliance really makes you think, man, this guy could seriously have some future. And it's the combination of things. It's the combination of the flashes of brilliance with how developed he is physically for his age versus his footwork and his knowledge of where to be and spacing and timing and just seeing things as they develop and making like split second decisions of like, oh, I need to whip this pass right now one handed to make this opening to get him as he's. I mean, how many of those highlights? I mean, there's only a few highlights, but how many of those highlights were him getting the ball right to the player right at the last second he could, and immediately two or three defenders converge on the player, and like a half second later, and that pass is a turnover or a deflection
Yeah.
or
He understands. Yeah, like you're saying that the pass. The one I thinking of, he's at the top of the key and he whips it over the top of by his defender and then over the head of the defender from the guy on
yeah,
our
he
team
picks
that's
it up off the
cutting.
dribble right-handed, and the defender sticks his left hand out, and he whips it
Yeah,
by right here. It's over his shoulder,
yeah,
and to the guy cutting
and
the
it's
lane, and then three
oof,
defenders
oof.
converge on him, and he gets the layup
Yeah,
off just in time.
yeah. It is that's the ability to read the game, and the game isn't even. It's obviously slowing down for him to some degree, as they always say, but it is a being able to do that at 19, and I mean, even the bigger, not being able to communicate other than just like point, grunt, say whatever. I'm sure he speaks some English, but to do that, yeah, it was it. The hype is real in the aspect of he's going to be all right playing in this. I don't know how much time he's going to get, but yeah, you put him on the
I
floor.
don't
It's just
think
like, all right,
much.
let's see what
I
happens.
would I would guess first year, not knowing the language, he's probably going to get 10 to 15 minutes a game, and also his minutes are totally going to be dependent on the health of Rob Williams. If Rob Williams is playing, I think
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
chance that Young doesn't get any minutes, or maybe he gets 5 to 8. Like
garbage.
he gets one shift.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, you put him out there and just let him. He's also aware. I think that's another piece of his youth and his maturity. It's like he's aware that he makes mistakes, and he's like, I don't deserve this. I need to get better at that. The turnovers or whatever, bad defense or fouling or something. He's aware that he's not that, and I think that comes from his culture. Is like, hey, I got to earn this. I've got to do better. I've got to be, you know, I've got to work on these things to make myself, you know, able to be on the floor. Even to get that to earn that spot, he really does have to earn it. Kind of going to your point of, they players need to earn their time on the floor.
Yeah, definitely. No, the best thing I've heard about that is Danny Moran keeps saying it's like the scene in The Dark Knight where the Joker walks in and he's like, "Hey, we're auditioning new people," and he breaks a pool cue and he throws it on the table and he's like, "All right, fight it out. It's up to you guys to decide who's getting the job." And
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, we need to have that at every position. It's like you need to earn your minutes by showing, first off, that you're not a liability on defense. And then secondly, that you can, you know, produce something positive offensively.
yeah, I agree. I mean, this is what we spoke of for years. It's like, can we have depth to the bench and just okay, someone's had to put whoever in, as a second
Well,
squad.
it's two
As
layers of that. First off, you got to have the players to be able to go 10 deep, but then more importantly, you've got to have the coach that buys into the philosophy of going that deep into the bench on a regular
that's a
basis. Most coaches don't go more than 8 or
three.
9
Yeah, they'll go
deep,
three deep.
and I don't know. To
Yeah,
me, it's this whole topic. It's the solution to injury, or not the solution, but it's going to help with injuries. It's going to help with wear and tear. The whole, you know, resting players and all that kind of stuff. Like if you didn't ride your best players to too many minutes every night, then I don't know. If you looked at it instead of players minutes, like you spending money and having a budget, it's like you gotta stay within your budget. It's like, okay, like for example, Drew and Dame are both 35 plus and doing nothing but getting older. So why not? How
yeah,
about we play those guys as a general rule for half the game, 24 minutes,
yeah,
and And if you are striving for that every night, then you're never going to put too much wear and tear on them. And you can situationally, based on fouls and, you know, knick-knack injuries like ankle turns and stuff that keep people out of games, you're going to adjust the minutes. But if you kind of shoot for that all the time, then you're not going to be having all of your older players be exhausted as you start the playoffs, if that's your goal, you know?
Yeah. Actually, can I? My battery's at 3% now on my phone. So, yeah, that's a very good point. We've always wanted depth. Can we have that depth? Having the coach that wants to do it is absolutely the most vital piece of that. But if we have, yeah, if they have it, if they're hot, leave them in. It's great. Hey, we're going to get you out, even at the most. Hey, we're going to run you for 30 minutes. That's a two and a half, 2.5 quarters.
Right, but what I'm saying
You,
is that's got to be an aberration as opposed, and it's
yeah,
got to default more to you're playing 24, 25
25,
minutes,
5 minutes. Yeah, I
and
agree. And to do that though, if you can have that with all of your players, you're fresher going later into the season. You also at that point, that means everybody's playing at a very high level. So there's
and
no
also
drop off
you're
no matter
developing your
what.
bench more, so you can theoretically rely on them more as
Yep.
the year progresses.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's where we've always said, hey, we guys got two squads almost. I want two starting squads. If you have
Absolutely.
that and they all want a ball, then it becomes a fantastic problem to have to like, well, we have another set of starters that are sitting on the bench going against your second squad, which is probably not at that same level. So good luck. Subs at the 6 minute, 8 minute mark, go. You
Yeah.
know, and and if they can execute, and then and then yeah, ultimately, which I think we're kind of at, um, you kind of have people can plug and play wherever. You know, you can substitute two or three people. They switch all on defense as it is when they're all 6'5" to 6'8" and super long.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, um, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Having Dame back is going to bring an enormous amount of energy. And I don't know if I told it to you or somebody else. I was like, it's just going to ratchet up the closer he gets to return. And there's going to be that pause if he doesn't. I don't think he's coming back even at the end of this year. That poof, you all of a sudden have next season is like, Dame's back, and he's only going to have another year, another summer of getting healthy.
Yeah,
And
tickets are
hopefully, and
gonna jump in price for that first game back.
oh yeah, there's gonna be that'd be an interesting. They don't need Tim to rush at all, but it's like he's gonna be ants, and once he gets to that point where it's like, hey, you're cleared, there's gonna be that like, all right, I'm just gonna chill for a little bit, and then hopefully, yeah, then you can enter it and go. So it's gonna be fun. I'm excited about it. It's fantastic to see that. So
All right. Well, not to cut you off, but you said several minutes ago that you had 3% left on your phone. So let's wrap this up.
uh,
Episode
cool.
1 in the books. We'll have more to come soon. Probably more in the music front here in the next few weeks, as this is the slowest time of year for NBA and Blazers and basketball. But, anyways, we'll be back. Thanks for listening. And as always, go Blazers.
Go Blazers.